Confidence is an essential attribute for anyone hoping to have a successful career in professional mixed martial arts. Of course, there is a fine line between confidence and arrogance. To illustrate the previous point, let's take a look at incidents in which bad karma may have come back to haunt a fighter. Now, without further ado, and ranked in no particular order, here are 10 moments of karma in MMA. Number 10. Julian Wallace vs. Ben Nguyen. Covered in tattoos from head to toe, Julian Wallace, aka Jules the Jackal, is an intimidating-looking individual. Heading into his Nitro MMA 11 bout with Ben Nguyen, the Jackal tried to up the intimidation factor. At the weigh-ins, the then Nitro Bantamweight champion shoved his hand in Nguyen's face and proceeded to push him back. He followed up by getting face-to-face with the challenger and even headbutting him. However, the bullying tactics didn't have the desired effect or bring good fortune. Nguyen would end up knocking out Wallace in just 25 seconds to become the new Nitro Bantamweight champ. Number 9. James Gallagher vs. Ricky Benitez. Like fellow Irishman Conor McGregor, Bellator Bantamweight James Gallagher loves to trash talk. Just prior to the start of his Bellator 204 showdown with Ricky Benitez, the former SBG product taunted his adversary. Gallagher shouted at Benitez throughout the fighter intros, then walked to the center of the cage to mouth, "You're all while pounding his chest. Fortunately, the cocky display did not appear to faze his opponent in the least. Gallagher came out aggressive, but midway through the first round, Benitez landed a brutal head kick, which ultimately led to a KO victory. In the end, it would be Ricky Benitez who had the last word by taunting his fallen foe before walking off to celebrate the big win. Number 8. Joe Harding vs. Johan Segas. British Challenge MMA 18 featured an amateur bout between featherweights Joe Harding and Johan Segas. Little did either fighter know at the time, the seemingly insignificant contest would end up going viral. Harding had things well in hand for most of the bout and got so comfortable that he began showboating. The headstrong amateur was putting on quite the show between dancing about and putting his arms behind his back. Unfortunately for Harding, while attempting to do the robot, he was hit with a devastating head kick that turned his lights out.
Again with the jab.
Thanks to some ill-advised dance moves, Johan Segas was able to pull victory from the jaws of defeat in a fight that received over 9 million views on YouTube. The famous fight is a classic example of how karma can come back to bite an overconfident athlete. Number 7. Jason Solomon vs. Amatesh Chabe. At Super Fight League 43 in 2015, undefeated welterweight Jason Ramesh Solomon was set to put his 4-0 record on the line, taking on the relatively unknown Amatesh Chabe, a fighter out of India, boasting a record of 4-3. Solomon made his way to the ring with all the bravado of a Bollywood A-lister. The man known as the Delhi Don danced around while trying to get the crowd fired up, and even stopped to do a pull-up before entering the cage door. Moreover, Solomon went back to mock Chabe just before the opening bell. As it turned out, the entrance would be the high point of his evening. Once the fight got underway, Chabe landed a right hand that put an abrupt end to his overconfident opponent's undefeated streak. For all the bravado on Solomon's part, the contest itself lasted just 9 seconds. Number 6. Dominic Reyes vs. Jordan Powell. Dominic the Devastator Reyes is a UFC light heavyweight best known for taking John Jones to the limit at UFC 247. Like most fighters, the California native had earned his stripes before joining the UFC roster. One of his most impressive victories, while earning said stripes, came at LFA 13 in a contest with Jordan Powell. The match showed that taking one's eye off the ball, even for a second, can anger the MMA gods. After getting the worst of an exchange, Powell nodded to show he wasn't fazed, and was met with a frightening head kick that sent him crashing to the mat. The 53-second KO win showed that showboating doesn't have to be excessive to be costly. Number 5. Michael Venom Page vs. Douglas Lima. Bellator's Michael Venom Page is a fighter known for being a flashy striker with a flamboyant style. For the most part, MVP has gotten away with a hands-down kickboxing approach that often features a healthy dose of showboating. However, former 3-time welterweight champion Douglas Lima was able to make the London-born fighter pay for his taunting ways. Page came out with his hands down and began his usual showboating during the opening minutes of the fight. However, this behavior eventually caught up with him in round 2, when Douglas Lima landed a low kick followed by a vicious uppercut to earn a knockout win. The result was an instance in which style did not beat substance. Number 4. Bob Sapp vs. Alexander Emilianenko. In his prime, Bob the Beast Sapp was a terrifying super heavyweight with a knack for putting opponents away. However, as his career progressed, the Beast earned a reputation for not giving 100%, with some pundits even accusing him of throwing fights. Still, even as the losses mounted, at 6'5", weighing over 300 pounds, the Colorado native remained an imposing figure. Heading into his 2013 bout with Alexander Emilianenko, Sapp tried to strike fear in his opponent's heart with an intimidating stare-down just prior to their fight. However, the stone-faced Russian was seemingly unaffected by the gesture. Alexander wasted little time in dispatching his adversary, who rolled up in the fetal position as soon as he began absorbing damage, with the fight being stopped just moments later. By the time the fight ended, Sapp's intimidating persona had taken a significant hit. Number 3. Bethe Correia vs. Holm. Brazil's Bethe Correia is a recently retired bantamweight who once challenged Ronda Rousey for UFC gold back in 2015. Following the loss to Rousey at UFC 190, her career began to take a bit of a downturn. One of the low moments of Correia's run took place at UFC Fight Night 111 at an event she headlined against the preacher's daughter, Holm. Their main event bout got off to a bit of a slow start, with both fighters taking a passive approach. In the third round, an impatient Correia made the mistake of taunting Holm, coaxing her to come forward. Holm decided to accommodate her opponent's request, advancing forward with a fight-ending kick that nearly removed the former title challenger's head from her shoulders. The old saying, "Be careful what you wish for, you might just get it," very much applied in this instance. Number 2. Anderson Silva vs. Chris Weidman. Anderson the Spider Silva is a former middleweight champion who has earned the right to be called a legend of the sport. The Brazilian striker was generally a relatively mild-mannered, respectful competitor outside the cage. That said, Silva often taunted opponents while competing and tried to get inside their heads. The overwhelming majority of the time, the strategy worked, helping the longtime middleweight king put away some of the sport's biggest names. However, whether it was karma, age, or simply a bad stylistic matchup, his antics would eventually backfire in his UFC 162 clash with the All-American Chris Weidman. In what would go down as one of the UFC's most famous knockouts, Weidman caught Silva with a big left hand while the champion was mockingly trying to dodge shots with his hands down. The action would cost Silva his long-held middleweight title and signal a changing of the guard in the division. Number 1. Joanna Youngjae vs. Rose Namajunas. Joanna Youngjae was the longtime UFC strawweight champion known for trying to intimidate opponents leading into her bouts. While her world-class stand-up game is likely enough to scare most adversaries, the Polish star often took things to the next level. Youngjae seldom misses an opportunity to get in an opponent's face to insult or threaten them. And things were no different when she faced Rose Namajunas for the first time at UFC 217. At the time, Youngjae was an unbeaten champion who had defended her UFC strawweight crown 5 times. Conversely, Namajunas was a 6-3 fighter who was 1-1 over the course of her previous 2 fights. Despite being a heavy favorite, Youngjae still deployed her usual mental warfare tactics, getting into her soon-to-be rival's face at every turn. In response, Namajunas prayed while the champion hurled disparaging remarks in her direction. Perhaps it was karmic justice or divine intervention. Whatever the case, Namajunas not only pulled off a major upset, but also put away the champion in round 1, thus scoring a shocking TKO victory. As always, if you guys enjoyed the video, please be sure to let me know by leaving a like and subscribing to our channel. Apart from that, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.